Hey everyone, Gab here. In this episode of Behind the Scenes, I'm going to talk about some arpeggiator tricks I used on the Nord Lead 2X synthesizer, and that I used in some of my songs as well. So before I actually start to talk about what I did with the arpeggiator, I want to get something out of the way, and this is about recording in general. So whether or not you are a recording enthusiast, you may feel that sequencers and arpeggiators should be avoided because it can corrupt the human feel that real recording and actually playing stuff does. And you have a right to believe that. And in a sense, I mostly do too, that, you should actually play what you're going to record. Which is why most of the time when I use the arpeggiator, I use it to do things that are pretty much humanly impossible and that can enhance the sound in some ways. So basically, that usually involves just cranking up the speed of the arpeggiator into pretty much impossible speeds, which is fun. Alright, now we can begin. So before I explain what the arpeggiator does, I'm going to talk about where it comes from. So there's a musical technique called an arpeggio, which essentially is you play the notes of a certain chord up and down very fast. I've mostly seen it done on the piano, but I suppose you could probably do it on other instruments too. So say I took a chord, and now I'll play an arpeggio of that. So that's what it is. So what an arpeggiator will do is all you have to do is hold down the chord, and the keyboard plays the notes for you up and down really fast. I'll show you what it does. So you can see why some people, especially people who are really well trained in arpeggios, might find this to be cheating in some way. So there's a few different settings on this arpeggiator which are pretty cool, but I'll start by explaining the first two basic ones. So there's the rate setting, which is pretty self-explanatory. It determines how fast the notes will be played of the arpeggiator. I'll give you a quick demo. So I'll start by setting it a little slower. Might be a little too slow. Now if I up the speed, so it can get quite fast. The next basic setting is the range. This controls how many octaves that your chord will go up and down. You can choose between 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it starts at off, actually, which is nothing. And here's 1. So it just stays within that 1 octave. Now if we go to 2, then 3, and 4. Alright, so now let's talk about the different types of arpeggios we can use, which is the last setting for this arpeggiator. So, the first type is strictly down. Here's what it sounds like. The second one is up and down, which is kind of like what you would usually play if you were playing on a real instrument. After that, we've got just up. And one of the really cool options of this particular one is random. Here's how this one goes. So it literally just plays random notes of the chord. So there's one last setting for the type of arpeggio you can use, and this one isn't really an arpeggio, but it's called echo. It does exactly what it sounds like. it's an echo. Now, the settings kind of affect this one differently, except for the rate. The rate is the same. It just gets faster. What's different about the echo setting is that the range now changes how many notes are going to be echoed instead of how many octaves, because it literally just echoes what you plays. So if I set the range all the way to the max, it will play, I think it's about 9 notes or something, I'm not too sure. So that's echo. Now, of course, you can make this as fast as you want. You get some pretty cool effects out of that. Now, this is also kind of similar to a delay effect, but the big difference is that every echo is the same volume as the first note you played, whereas a delay usually gets weaker and weaker in volume. And the other thing that's different is that there's not as many repetitions as a delay can usually get. So now we're getting into how I used the arpeggiator in some of my sounds for certain songs. So one of the first sounds I used on this was in the Shockwave song. And the sound kind of goes like this. It sounds really, really dirty. And now here's what it sounds like without the arpeggiator. So all of a sudden it's a lot cleaner. So here's what I did. Now I discovered a little while ago that if you only play one note while the arpeggiator's on, it'll only play that one note. And if you set the range to just the one octave, it'll basically repeat that one note like this. So you can see it's only repeating that one note. So then I just cranked up the speed. And that's how I got that really gritty distortion effect for that. So there's another sound on tension droplets on which I made a good use of the arpeggiator. This is what it sounds like. It's a really big, massive build-up type pad. So that's what it is. But now let's have a listen without any arpeggiation. So that's still a pretty cool sound, but obviously there's something missing when we take out the arpeggiator. So what I did to make it all that much more massive is I set the type on random, and I'll make it go a little slower so you can hear what it does. And that's going over a 3-octave range, and it's just playing random notes of the chord. So if I set that a little faster, well, a lot faster, really. And there we have it. So I wouldn't really call that cheating because, you know, you can't actually play that fast real arpeggios. I don't think, anyway. So that's all for this episode of Behind the Scenes, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please leave a like. And while you're at it, you know, comment on what's your opinion on technology and music. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it both? Do you like it? Let me know. And for next episode, I'll be talking about a technique that's pretty common in recording called doubling, and how I use that in certain songs. So make sure you subscribe if you'd like to see it. And that's pretty much it. So I'll see you next time. Bye.